Hey, friends. Welcome to our broadcast. I've been watching this TV show about a morning show. And so now I've got all these reporter vibes. You know, when you watch something, it becomes like part of your life. All right, I'm going to put us live here on Instagram as well, so we can get our training started. Hi, everybody on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the places. My name is Vanessa Fernandez, and I'm the founder of the Enneagram Workshop. And today we are talking about reconnecting to your heart center and how the Enneagram helps you do that. And this is part of a series that I'm running called 10 Days, 10 Ways to Use the Enneagram to Make Your Life Better. And we're right smack in the middle of it. So welcome everybody who's joining me. We're talking about how to reconnect to your heart center. Now, this training is mostly for those who are aggressive stance numbers. And if you're not familiar with stances, there are aggressive stance numbers, which is 3, 7, and 8. There's dependent stance numbers, which is 6, 2, and 1. And then there's withdrawing numbers, which is 4, 5, and 9. And each number, each stance, has one center of intelligence that they are more repressed in. And that just means that they don't use that center of intelligence often. They've kind of set it aside. The 3 centers of intelligence is your feelings, your heart center, your doing, your body center, and your thinking or your head center. Those are the 3 ways that we process information. We either feel it, we think it, or we do something about it. And the best way to move through the world is by employing all 3 of those centers of intelligence. That brings balance to our lives. That allows us to engage our heart, our mind, and our bodies. But typically when we're children, we learn that one of those centers doesn't serve us, from our caregivers giving us certain feedback, or just as some trauma maybe that we experienced as a child. It kind of tells us, oh, you should set aside that center of intelligence. Don't think so much. Don't feel so much. Don't do so much. And we end up relying more heavily on the other 2. And so one center is repressed. And aggressive types are the ones who are feeling repressed. Now, I've been talking a little bit about my course, Enneagram for Individuals, which the doors are open to right now. And I have a whole module on stances, and I talk a lot about what the repressed centers, what that means. And the way that I have described it and laid it out it might be one of my favorite things that I've done in the entire course. I feel like this is something that causes a lot of confusion for people. Well, how can I be doing repressed? I do stuff all the time. That's always my instinct, is to do things. Or how could I be thinking repressed? I'm thinking all the time. It's language that kind of needs to be nuanced. And I explain why each stance is repressed in that center of intelligence and kind of how it looks for each of the different types. So how it looks for a type 8 to be feeling repressed, how it looks for a type 7, and why, and how your childhood wound, how your childhood wound contributes to that. My module on stances is just like so good. And it really has, the feedback that I've gotten is that it provides a lot of clarity. So if you're thinking of taking part in my Enneagram for Individuals course, and stances is something that you've always kind of struggled with, definitely jump in. That will provide you so much clarity in that course. But today I'm talking about how to reconnect with your heart center. So this is really mostly focused towards aggressive types 3s, 8s, and 7s. However, if you love someone who is an aggressive type, or you have someone who's an aggressive type in your life, this will hopefully help give you some clarity on why they don't seem to be emotionally or feeling engaged, and what you can do to help them, and what you can do to support them as they do the work of bringing up their heart center. So aggressive types move against. And I say we because I'm an aggressive type. So if I say we, that's what that means. I am speaking very personal experience here. We move against others because we have an agenda, or we have a goal, or we have a plan that we are trying to get towards. And feelings slow us down. And aggressive types move very fast, and they're always in the future. And here's the thing. You can feel something that is happening right now, and you can feel about something that happened in the past, but you can't really feel anything that hasn't happened yet. And so part of why aggressive types are feeling repressed is because we're so in the future, and we have our plans, and we have our goals, and we have our agenda, but there's nothing to feel. You can't feel something that hasn't happened yet. You can be excited about it. You can get ready for it. You can try and make it happen faster, but you really can't feel something that is in the future. And so this is a big reason why we are feeling repressed. Some ways that we can bring up, though, our heart center, if you're an aggressive type, is to come back to the present and spend some time in the past. So being aware of our orientation to time can help us to intentionally pull back and sit right now in the present moment. And even ask ourselves, what am I feeling in this moment? Which no aggressive type likes to do or feels comfortable doing in any way, shape, or form. So this is where this would be a discipline. This would be a growth activity. This would be something we're intentionally choosing to do in order to move towards freedom. So sitting in the present moment, feeling in the present moment, and allowing our feelings to come up. And that means slowing down and making space. And I've talked about this a lot when I talked about how Enneagram makes parenting better. I talked about how aggressive types need to slow down and engage with their children. When I talked about leadership, I talked about how aggressive types need to slow down and listen to those that they are interacting with. And the same comes with connecting with your heart center. It requires slowing down and almost like doing what you would do with a child and someone you're leading, but do it with yourself. So lock eyes with yourself and listen to yourself and connect more deeply to yourself. Now, I know that that is not a very efficient use of time or productive use of time. As a type 3, that is like so important to me. And so it really does take making this a priority for you to be able to discipline yourself to slow down and connect with your feelings. Here's the best way that I have found to do this. Meditation, centering prayer, contemplative practice, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the same thing. It is sitting still with just yourself, no one else, and nothing else on the agenda. And there's sort of two different ways to do this. One way is a check-in with yourself. So this is a great place to start because you can have a notepad next to you. And the way that I practice it is I sit, I take some deep breaths. Sometimes I'll have on some high frequency music. I find that very helpful for myself. Sometimes I'll just have silence. Definitely no music with words. That will be confusing. But sit with yourself, take some deep cleansing breaths, and ask yourself, how are you feeling right now in this moment? And this is a way to stop the forward thinking, stop the future orientation to time, and pull yourself back into the center. One of the mantras that I cling on to is right here, right now. So I will take some breaths. Right here, right now. What are you feeling? Here's the thing. Because aggressive types, we have been feeling repressed for so long, you may not instantly know how you feel the first second that you ask yourself that question. That's why I would encourage you to at least take 5 minutes for your sit. Sit in that contemplative practice and allow yourself 5 minutes to have the feelings start to bubble up to the surface. And the way that I think of it is like if you have a glass of water that has a bunch of sand and sediment and rocks, and it's moving a million miles an hour, it is cloudy. Everything has been stirred up. Everything is mixed together. You can't see clearly and you don't know what you have in the jar when it's moving around at a rapid pace. Centering prayer and meditative practice allows you to sit still long enough for things to start to settle, for things to start to separate, for you to start to get clarity as to what is inside of you and what's going on. So allow yourself a 5-minute sit to connect to the present moment and connect to your own internal feelings, and ask yourself, what am I feeling right here, right now? Have a notebook nearby and start jotting down whatever comes up. You might be feeling fear. You might be feeling sadness. You might be feeling peace. You might be feeling joy. Whatever it is, start writing down and not judging the feelings, just allowing them to breathe, allowing them to come to the surface and honoring those feelings. One of the mantras that is supposed to be for aggressive types is, I allow myself to have feelings, which is a fine mantra, but I prefer the one, I respect and honor my feelings. Because I feel like, I don't know, if you're an aggressive type, maybe you can comment on how you feel about feelings, but I feel like, yeah, I allow myself to have feelings, but I don't honor them and I don't respect them. I push them aside because they're getting in the way. And so a great mantra, even if you want to cling on to this or settle onto this before you do your sit, before you do your meditative practice, and just remind yourself, I'm going to respect my feelings, because feelings are one of the 3 centers of intelligence, and each of the centers of intelligence are just as equally valuable and valid and to be respected. And I'm going to talk about this when we get into some of the other ones. Your gut, the body center of intelligence is a valid center of intelligence. Obviously, the mind and the thinking center of intelligence is a valid center of intelligence. I feel like in our culture, in American culture, and especially in this day and age where we have so much scientific evidence and science to prove things, we've shifted almost to say that the thinking center of intelligence is the only one that's valid and that matters. So if you can't understand it, if you can't prove it, if it's not able to be mentally processed, then it's not real. So if someone has a gut feeling, it's almost dismissed. Or if someone just has a sense in their heart, it is dismissed as, well, that can't be valid, that can't be real, that can't be a true way of understanding the world. When in fact, all 3 are equally valid centers of intelligence. Now, of course, our gut can lead us astray, our hearts can lead us astray, and even our minds can lead us astray if we get into circular thinking. And the best way to come at any type of investigation is by having a balance of all 3. But your heart center of intelligence is a valid center of intelligence that should be respected. And aggressive types tend not to respect it, not to give it as much weight and as much value as the other centers of intelligence. So respect your feelings. When you internally tell yourself, I respect my feelings and I value them, they will start to have confidence to present themselves to you. They will start to have confidence, especially if you sit and you give them space to come up. So connect in the present moment, engage in a meditative practice. The last thing that I'm going to encourage you to do if you want to bring up your heart center is you have got to stir up some courage. You've got to stir up some courage, because for aggressive types, connecting to feelings is a very scary thing, because it will stop our forward motion, which we don't like and we don't think is a good thing. It will stop our forward motion, and it will probably reveal to us that we need others. And aggressive types tend to, every type kind of doesn't really want to need others, but especially aggressive types, we tend to want to be very independent. We move against. We have our agenda, and you can come with me or not. And when we start engaging with our heart center, when we start employing those feelings, it kind of reveals to us, you know what, you're not an island and you do need others. So if you're not an aggressive type and you're watching this, one way that you can encourage aggressive types in your life to reconnect to their heart center is to let them know that you are there for them and that you will support them. Because oftentimes aggressive stance people, we kind of feel like we have to bring all the energy. We have to organize all the things. We have to set the tone. We have to set the stage. We have to make it all happen. And no one else is going to be there to support us. So it's all on our shoulders. And that's why we set aside feelings, because we don't have time for them. But once we start engaging with them and we start realizing we need other people, that's when we really, really will appreciate those around us saying, hey, you know what? I know you look like you're a powerhouse and you've got it all together, but I'm going to believe that you actually do need people, and I'm going to be there for you. And I'm going to support you. And I'm going to give you space to feel your feelings. I'm going to give you space to honor your emotions. And that is a fantastic way to really come alongside an aggressive stance number and give them the freedom to stop their forward motion, which is super scary, engage with their feelings, which is super scary, and admit that they need other people, which is super duper scary. But let me just end with this appeal. If you're an aggressive type and you want to bring up your heart center, press into courage. Press into courage, because not connecting with that heart center will, if you haven't already felt it, you will very soon. It will just block up everything that you want out of life. Everything that you want out of life can only go so far if your heart center is closed. It is the block that oftentimes keeps aggressive types from connecting with other people, from actually feeling their success. How many times have I spoken with an aggressive type person who is so wildly successful, it would blow your mind, and they don't feel their success because their heart center is closed. So what's the point of doing? What's the point of being a force? What's the point of organizing and building if you have the inability to feel any of it? And so I know it is scary, and I know it is intimidating and daunting to slow down, to sit in meditative practice, to connect, to actually take a look at what is beneath the surface, and to admit that you need others. I know all of that is scary, but that will only make you stronger. It will only make you braver, and it will only take all of the force and action and power that you have as an aggressive stance and make it an even deeper, more impactful legacy that you're able to lead, because you are actually able to access your heart center and bring it to bear in balance with thinking and with doing. With all three centers of intelligence firing at the same time, you will be unstoppable, my friends. So that is my training for bringing up your heart center. I would love, if you have any questions, shoot me a DM. This is something so near and dear to my heart. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the body center. So those of you who are in the withdrawing stance, we're going to talk about reconnecting to your body center. And then the day after that, we're going to dive into those who are thinking repressed and how to engage your mind, your thinking center of intelligence. This is so important, my friends. This is where we start doing the work of bringing up that repressed center and finding greater balance and becoming the healthier version of our type. So I would love to have I feel like this is a very intimate kind of topic to talk about. So if you want to shoot me a DM, I'm here for you. If you want to talk about some practice of things that you've encountered as you've tried to bring up your heart center, I'm here for you. And if you are curious about meditative practice, I'm going to talk more about that in another training, because every single type can benefit from meditative practice. It is so paramount to your Enneagram journey that I don't even know how you can grow in your type without some sort of meditative practice. Like it is like don't separate them. They have to go together. So that's my training for today. Guys, please check out my Enneagram for Individuals course, especially if stance work and the repressed centers is something that is difficult for you to understand. It is such a great course that combines teaching with coaching, with community. I'm so excited about it. And hope you guys can join me in this first round of the doors being open. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.